There was a study in 2020 that was called Exposing Worries Deceit, Percentage of Untrue Worries in Generalized Anxiety Disorder Treatment. This study showed that the vast majority of our fears don't actually materialize. Studies show that the percentage of worries that come true is actually quite low, often below 9%. So therefore, 91% of what we worry about will never happen. Hi there, and a warm welcome to the Habit Nerd podcast. I'm Dr. Bree Hearn, host and general nerd about all things habits. Over my 20 plus years working as a writer, educator, researcher, keynote speaker, and coach, I've realized that habits influence everything from our health to our productivity and even our relationships. It was Aristotle, in fact, who said we become what we repeatedly do. On this podcast, you'll learn from inspiring experts as they share the habits and systems that help them live happily, healthily, and to achieve enormous success in their chosen fields. Thanks for being here. I do hope that you enjoy the episode. And welcome to the Habit Nerd podcast. A big thank you for spending this time with me today. I'm going to be talking to you about a mind frame or a mindset shift that I'm teaching my daughters, and it's something that I wish I had learned a lot earlier. So I hope that you find this helpful. I'll start with a quick story. I have a 14-year-old daughter. There was an occasion recently where I took her to a day at her sports club where there were lots and lots of girls that are her age. Now, none of the girls would she call friends necessarily, although she does play in a team with them, even though she would really like to call them her friends. Because she's a shy kid and she's a little bit apprehensive in social situations, which is fairly typical teenage behavior, of course, I do know that she would have liked to strengthen those relationships with those kids. So what I observed her doing was holding back from these groups of girls that were standing around talking or sitting and talking. I observed her busying herself on her phone or coming back to spend time with me. And I know that it was from fear. I know that it was her being apprehensive about what would happen if she went up and started a conversation with these different groups of kids. So this episode today is about fear and the role that it plays for us. Now, when we feel fear, we're projecting forward. Typically, we're imagining the worst case scenario because you can't be fearful about something that's already happened. And if you're living in the present, obviously you can't be fearful. It's a forward projection. It's a feeling of something going wrong. It's a sense of impending doom. I'll give you some statistics I find helpful. There was a study in 2020 that was called Exposing Worries Deceit, Percentage of Untrue Worries in Generalized Anxiety Disorder Treatment. This study showed that the vast majority of our fears don't actually materialize. Studies show that the percentage of worries that come true is actually quite low, often below 9%. So therefore, 91% of what we worry about will never happen. Our perception is often skewed. The study showed that people tend to overestimate how likely their fears are to come true. And as an example is that one study found participants estimated their worries had about a 62% chance of happening compared to the actual rate of 8.6. And the other thing the study showed is that outcomes are often less severe. Of the few worries that actually do come true, the outcome is often not as bad as we feared. When a fear does come to pass, about 1/3 of the time, the outcome is far better than anticipated. So that said, the mind frame that I wish I'd learned earlier is that fear is actually an opportunity. Fear happens for us because the very thing you fear can actually provide you with the greatest growth. Said another way, the thing you want is on the other side of the fear. So in my daughter's case, the chance of a deepened relationship was waiting over the hurdle of going up and starting that conversation. I had a similar scenario recently when I needed to have an uncomfortable conversation with a more senior colleague. Obviously, the more natural thing would be to not have that conversation, but I faced it and it clarified things and I walked away feeling better. And whilst the problem got solved, yes, There's no doubt that because I faced my fear, my colleague respects me more now too. Lately, I've felt fear in a few different scenarios. I have recently joined a business networking group and had to attend networking events. Now, networking events can really strike fear into me and into other people because if you don't know anyone when you arrive, it takes a lot of courage to go up and introduce yourself and to start a conversation. But getting over that barrier of the fear is where the opportunity lies. It formed new opportunities, new networks, new friendships, and then that led to us, swapping email addresses and numbers, and then new business relationships starting. Because of my bravery at going up to people at those networking events, I was invited to speak at a recent roundtable discussion as part of that business networking group. And if I had just walked straight to the coffee cart and, played really safe and not overcome that fear or not faced that fear with courage, that would have never happened. Soon I will need to apply for a new job as part of my part-time academic work. So I'm gearing up for this job interview. There is absolutely fear there. I feel a bit shaky about it. I'm imagining what might go wrong. I'm hoping I get a good panel. I'm hoping that the questions are things that I can answer. But the research would show that when we reframe our emotional state, turn this fear and anxiety into excitement, we can view our challenges as opportunities. Therefore, it gives us a chance of performing better and not worse. By me facing my fear and going into the job interview, I realized that A, best case scenario, I get the job. B, I don't get the job, but it's an opportunity to refine my practice, to learn, and to get the people on the interview panel to see me in a certain way. So there's real excitement there. I was also scared when I created this podcast. I was scared that no one would listen, or worse yet, that people would listen and that they'd switch off halfway through an episode or drop off. But I moved courageously into what was scaring me, and the opportunities on the other side have been so generative. I've met new people. I feel the positive impact through direct messages. I've attracted coaching clients and speaking opportunities. I'm being invited onto other podcasts, and I'm improving. I'm refining my message. I'm getting closer to the content that I want to put out. I'm getting better at giving guest interviews and inviting people on. More people are saying yes, and I'm having fun. So all of this was waiting for me on the other side of that fear. There's a psychologist called Dr. Sindra Kampoff. She says that the world's best feel the fear. High performers know that when they feel fear, they are doing something really meaningful, something that matters, something worthwhile. So the goal isn't to eliminate the fear altogether, but it's to invite it in, address it, and to choose courage despite the fear. Obviously, we feel fear when we try new things. It's natural because we've never done it before, but it is a chance to level up. It is a chance to take courageous action. And the outcome may be not what you desired. I might not get the position. I might bungle a speech that I'm preparing for. But each time I use courage and move anyway, I'm casting a vote for a new identity. And that new identity is someone brave. I'm also learning and trusting that all is leading to what needs to come next. This is related to a concept called self-concept. It's a phenomenon by scientist and leadership expert Laura Polk. It's your self-story, so it's how you see yourself. Everything you do with or without an audience provides evidence to you about who you are and what you're capable of. It's a cycle that goes like this. What we believe about ourselves creates our thoughts and our feelings. Our thoughts and our feelings determine which action we take, and then our actions give that evidence. So by choosing to go up and have a difficult conversation when it would be easier to avoid it, you're actually proving to yourself in 1,000 tiny ways, in every chance you get, that you have what it takes to overcome the challenges of life. And that's first-party evidence, because that is helping you create a new identity of somebody, as I said, who is brave. So habit nerds, I hope that in the coming little while, when you feel scared, you're able to invite it in. Acknowledge the fear, that it's a signal for meaning and importance and respect for the situation you find yourself in. I really hope that you get the experience of what's waiting on the other side of the fear and that you can feel proud of your courage. The longer I live and the more I learn from research and the experts and people I look up to, I'm realizing that life doesn't happen to us, but for us, if we choose to see it that way. So I hope that very brief episode around inviting fear in as an opportunity and a friend was helpful. And I look forward to hearing how that goes for you over at The Habit Nerd. Until next time, take care. Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Habit Nerd. I hope you found some new inspiration, learned something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you did enjoy the episode, I would be really grateful if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it should only take you 5 seconds. If you're keen for more tips and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow Habit Nerd.